What is up, everyone? Nick here. Welcome to the show. If you're new, thanks for coming back. If you're not, today was a day like none other. We saw the rise of the meme stonks once again, and I think this can be drawn all the way to the rise of the retail investor, the take back of capital from big corp, and I absolutely love to see it. I don't think this ends here with these stocks, and I do think we could begin to see some rallies within other relatively inexpensive, high-volume stocks, hot stocks such as NIO. I'll touch on this shortly and why I think this could happen. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at NIO's latest developments, what's happening with its shares, why we saw the massive rise in the past few trading periods, if this can be sustained. We'll also be touching on NIO's delivery numbers throughout May, and lastly, as I previously mentioned, why I think we could see shares surge in the coming few trading periods. Before we get to it today, Webull is giving out 2 free stocks worth up to $1,850 for free. You could trade before and after hours markets with Webull. This can be crucial. We all know that the early bird gets the worm. All you have to do is use the link in my description. 2 free stocks, can't beat it. Alright, ladies and gents, let's jump right into it. So NIO on today's trading period was down a modest 2.79%, which came to me as no surprise. Shares are now sitting just north of $41 at $41.16, down $1.18 on the day. Now, I'm sure I don't need to inform any of you of what happened today with the meme stocks and most specifically AMC. AMC absolutely surged 95.22% over the course of one trading day alone, up $30, basically doubling investments within just a few hours. Shout out to everyone who has diamond hands and who got to experience some of this valuation surge. I thought I was late to the party getting in around $10 a share, but how are ya? That was nice. Basically an ATM. We'll touch on this more shortly. Now, getting into NIO's share price, we saw shares run on Monday up around 9%, and I wasn't surprised to see shares consolidate today, and for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's important to understand why shares of NIO surge in the first place. If you have been following this company for some time now, you will know that if one thing, more than anything, can boost up its valuations, more than good news, high deliveries, increasing cash positions, it's analyst upgrades. Now, I'm not sure why investors follow analyst upgrades so closely and buy in on these hype days. I find it much more beneficial to think and act extremely large, buy when people are selling, sell when people are buying, and keeping your eyes set on long-term possibilities. But hey, that's the stock market for you. Citi upgraded NIO to a buy rating, which came as a shock to many investors. Many big-name analysts have been avoiding the EV industry at large with a 10-foot pole after the steep consolidation seen in April and May. However, the tide seems to be once again turning, and turning for the best. We see analysts and investors clamoring back into the stock at these much more enticing valuations for long-term holds. Now, moving into the thesis on Citi for this upgrade. Jeff Chung of Citi raised his price target to 58.3, which was only a slight gain from his previous target of 57.6. However, a raise is a raise, and this flocked investors to the stock. He cites a strong demand recovering in the Chinese EV market, and specifically a demand for NIO, potentially catalyzed by their showing at the Auto Shanghai event. They really stood out to me at Auto Shanghai, really making a name for themselves, and I truly do think their ET7 will be a complete game changer for the company at large. Citi believes that this is a great point of entry for long-term investors, and I tend to agree here. Chung also raised his sales targets for the current year to 90,000, next year to 155,000, and 2023 225,000. Now, on this note, I do think these are quite conservative, especially for 2023. I do think with their new NIO Park likely being fully operational long before the end of 23, and their extension on their JAC Motors current operation, they will be delivering far more than 225,000. We know that they will have an annual capacity of around 1.3 million. However, they may be held back by the ongoing semiconductor shortage. Now, this chip crisis is expected to be partially mitigated as the Renesas plant is expected to return to full capacity by mid-June. Renesas encompasses about 1/3 of the world's chip market, and their plant fire really put a major dent into global supply chains. Now, analysts believe that the concerns that investors are facing right now, notably the chip shortage and higher raw material costs, are already priced into these lower valuations, making it a much less risky time for investors to enter the stock. We have already seen NIO bounce back substantially from these lows. I saw a lot of people doubting that they would be able to bounce back as quick as they did, but if we have learned one thing, it's do not doubt this company, do not doubt the electric vehicle industry, and do not doubt the continued investor bullishness. Now, we saw an interesting phenomenon take place in yesterday's trading period. We saw a massive day on the markets up 9%, even though we saw a decline in monthly sales. NIO delivered 6,711 vehicles in the month of May, which was up 95.3% year over year. However, this was indeed a decline of 5.5% from April. Now, NIO being a growth company demands just that. Constant growth. And investors are typically frightened of any sign of slowing growth, but this is very much not the case here. Investors realize that it's not a lack of demand that's lowering vehicle deliveries, but the chip shortage, and NIO management has previously made this exceptionally clear. Demand for NIO vehicles are in fact at all-time highs, and there are reports emerging that the ET7 is already hitting record-breaking pre-order quantities. Now, getting into the numbers, NIO delivered 1,412 ES8s, their largest vehicle. No surprise here, still their lowest selling model. They sold 3,017 ES6s, still their top selling model, and 2,282 EC6s, their newest SUV coupe and my current favorite model. There really weren't any surprises here, and I was not shocked to see a lowering figure of monthly deliveries. This was to be expected. We saw the supply strain affecting production in May, and the company has stated that their orders are continuing to escalate. Now, even with this lowering delivery figure, the company is maintaining guidance through Q2 at 21 to 22,000 vehicles, and this is excellent news for a number of reasons. Firstly, it signifies that indeed the issue is strictly due to chip shortages. Great news here. Secondly, it shows that the company is still experiencing sky-high demand. And lastly, it shows that the company is escalating potentially out of the chip shortage in the coming days and weeks. To maintain this goal, the company would have to deliver around 8,000 vehicles in June, which would signify a new all-time high. Very promising and bullish news. I am exceptionally excited for what this company holds in store for us. This is why shares have been surging. Shares are up around 13% in just the past 5 days, up around 35% in just the past few weeks, and I do think we'll climb into the mid-40s in the next few weeks. We need to remember just how massive Q1 2022 is going to be for this company, and I really do believe that this will be priced into shares sooner rather than later. I'll have a full breakdown of this in a few days. Now, with the rise of meme stocks, we're seeing many stocks absolutely surge, even remotely connected to WallStreetBets. There has been increasing NIO chatter that due to the short percentage on NIO shares of around 4.59%, 73.43 million shares short, that there could be a move on NIO. It's an extremely hot stock, it has massive moving volumes, it's relatively inexpensive, and I think it could gain some traction. Are NIO investors going to make this happen? Anyways, guys, I will have a follow-up video on the share valuation coming out in a few days. Don't forget about the Webull promo, 2 free stocks worth up to $1,850 for free. You could trade before and after hours markets. All you have to do is use the link in my description. Who doesn't like free stocks, especially ones that can amount to almost $2,000? Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, happy trading, cheers.